Okay, I don't know how to start this video off because one, I don't usually jungle as often, and two, there's a lot of things you need to know about jungling that you yourself as a laner need to understand now. So if you're not ready for this, don't watch any further, but if you are, continue watching and let's get right into it. Okay, since you guys are staying here, I might as well go over what the hell I'm talking about and what the hell I mean. So, as of this season, season 11, there has been a lot of changes to jungle. One being the resistance to all the jungle camps. So it literally doesn't matter what you start or where you go, you're basically doing the same thing and taking the same amount of time. However, some starts are better than the others, so let's talk about the buff starts and the leash starts for most jungle champions. Buff starts. So, when we talk about buff starts, we're also talking about leashing. Leashing is the way that you, a laner, go ahead and ask the jungle if they want a leash. If they say yes, you help them out with taking their buffs. But you do not take the buffs, you have to let the jungler actually take it. If you take the buffs as a laner, then you're kind of screwed your jungler, but talk about jungler here, so let's continue on. So there's two buffs in the map that currently spawns in around the 130 mark of the game. Those are red and blue. Red and blue is corresponded with they're both red color and the blue color. The red buff will give you health regen and burns to most of your attacks, whereas the blue buffs gives mana regen and CDR, or just cooldown reduction. However, buff starts is not always a good thing. Sometimes it's good for some junglers, but sometimes it's bad for most of the comp. So my suggestion is try to go find a champion that could go leashless. What leashless means that you don't need help taking anything at all. You just go ahead and do it, and you just have fun. But sometimes it doesn't require you, the jungler, to start a buff. You could be starting at the wolves, the grump, the raptors, anywhere you really could decide that your champion can do, due to the fact that everything has the same resistance and everything takes about the same time. As most people know, jungle ganks are one of these key essential parts of being a jungler, besides taking objectives, but there's goods and bads of ganking people, so let's go into that. The good. So, ganks, when they're executed properly, could help your laner get ahead in their laning phase instead of putting them behind. So, for example, a good gank would consist of you, the jungler, setting up for your mid laner to get the kill. Or, you yoink the kill and you hope and pray you can carry the whole game. So, yeah, let's go into the bad. The bad. So, the bad parts about ganking is you could disrupt your laner's flow if they're already having a good flow. Let's say a Yasuo was already ahead on farm and they're so close to killing him. If you gank now and you 100% dive the enemy laner and die under tower, you have literally cucked your laner, and having Yasuo be an early head start, you could kind of just cuck him later on because that laner is gonna get fed due to that one kill. So when ganking, you really have to think about is it worth to do it now? Is your laner ready? Is he okay? Because the whole goal of ganks is try to keep your laner alive and make sure they stay ahead in the process. Okay, objectives. Objectives is one things that a jungler needs to learn how to balance in between. First of all, let's just say that dragon's up and your mid laner is very gankable. Do you take objectives or do you help your mid laner? For some of these, it's probably going to be objectives, but once again, you really have to think about the whole big picture. Because it's not just one lane, it could be all the lanes. You really have to watch and figure out where they're going and how each one is going before you even take objectives sometimes. But in some cases, it's better to you just yoink the objective as soon as everyone is distracted doing something else. However, that's just my thinking of it. I haven't played jungle too much again. This is just based on my experience. So yeah, that's basically it about objectives. So let's move on to invades. Invades. So invades is one of the things in jungle that I myself will really hate. I really hate invading due to the sheer fact that I'm blind in there. So in order for me to pass on advice to you, my suggestion is don't invade when you don't, have confidence 2, or you don't have any wards. Because the good thing about invading is that you could take the buffs of the enemy jungler and take their camps, leaving them goldless and forcing them to gank hard, and maybe you could come counter gank due to the predictable well-being. However, once again, it's vice versa. If you go in there, you probably will get invaded yourself and probably lose buffs that way. But another thing that we had to talk about for invading is that you could die in jungle due to the sheer fact that most of the laners on the side lanes and mid lane will literally come help their jungler if they're getting invaded. So please, please, please heed my warnings and take a ward before you invade. It will save your life. I really, really do hope it saves your life. So yeah. Okay, those are the basic parts of playing jungle. There's nothing much else when playing jungle. You're basically a second support at some times and basically another hard carry champion. But that's gonna be it for the jungle tutorial. I generally don't know what to say about jungle besides just those general things and what you really need to know. So yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy this tutorial. There's gonna be a montage right after this, so stick around for that. And once again, hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the last 2 tutorials I'm gonna make after this.
Devil in the red